The president of the Greater San Fernando Area Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Kiran Singh. A pleasant good evening to you, Mr. Singh.
Good evening to you and good evening to the listeners on your station.
Always a pleasure to have you on. Time for talk done. That's what we're hearing. Now, I've always spoken to you. You've always been optimistic. I mean, you've always been focused on that ray of sunshine at the end of the dark tunnel. But at this time, it seems that you are at your wits' end. What has brought you to this point at this time?
Well, the business community, of course, is extremely worried, frustrated, very concerned and alarmed at the extreme murder rate, especially given the number of murders that were committed over the last weekend. And we are certainly in a state of serious concern as to what is next. I know that the Prime Minister, as head of the National Security Council, met with the divisional heads and the other security agencies on Monday, and that the outcome from that is that the police stations are on high alert and that there would be joint police army patrols, which is, of course, desperately needed. We remember that when we were approaching Christmas 2023, we were given the assurance that the army would come out for Christmas and would continue into Carnival to assist the police with their patrolling duties, vehicular as well as foot patrols. Somehow that disappeared after Carnival, and the murder rate and the crime rate escalated, I think, beyond the reach of the TTPS from what it appears to be. And this is cause for serious alarm as to what is happening now in our beloved country and how we intend to deal with that. Yeah. I don't think there are short-term measures that will assist.
But do you ever get the feeling that the powers that be don't understand the ripple effect? I mean, this has a domino effect, whereas the backbone of the economy, which is the business community, if they're affected, if they have to have an increase of security, that's more money coming out of what should be your profit. If you have to hire more people, sometimes I'm sure even in your business you say to yourself, I'm not seeing my regular customers, because you have people who may be afraid to leave home because of home invasions. And this definitely does put a dent in it, where the conversation has reached a point where many are talking about simply migrating, working remotely if it is that whatever sector they're into, and basically packing up for the protection, not of the business alone, but of their family. Now, when you take that in consideration, do you believe that the powers that be simply do not understand?
I think it may be a more deep-rooted problem as to what is causing the youth especially to engage in these serious crimes, robbery, murders, home invasion. And I think that the solutions may be medium to long-term as opposed to short-term, because we really need to dig deep to find out what is causing these youths to react in such a violent way, or think that this is the way to move forward through this gang establishment that seems to be escalating in our society, and that this was not so just a generation ago. And it is very frightening that these youths seem to think that the solution to their problems is to join a gang, and then, of course, commit murder and what various robberies and so on. And what is the root cause of these issues? It is easy to sit down and talk about, we can have joint police army patrols and have drone technology and whatever immediate measures we think can assist. But until we don't get to the root cause of the problem, we may never solve the problem, because these are just putting bandages on the wound as opposed to getting to what is causing the wound in the first place. And these are discussions that we need to have as an entire society, and it needs to happen right now rather than later to provide immediate solutions, because the youths are supposed to take the country forward, not the other way around. And that is what is happening with, unfortunately, some misguided youths who think that the power of the gun is better than the power of the pen.
And that's true. I mean, I understand that businesses do have a corporate responsibility, but the government also has a responsibility to secure the lives of the citizenry. When you have the Commissioner of Police saying that we have not lost a handle on crime, but it continues to be diverse. and we continue to adjust our strategies. Now, that doesn't add up because criminal behavior is a dynamic process, as you mentioned. I mean, it's influenced by both individual characteristics and social experiences. So we could simply say, all right, you're a product of your environment. But that is not for the business community as far as the main focus. As much as you have a responsibility to understand that and to be a part of that component, the government itself has to be the person, that has to be the component playing the key role to ensuring our safety. So you can ply your trade, run your business, expand. Right now, it seems as though you're being punished for basically having the entrepreneurial spirit to go out there and try to carve out something.
The unfortunate reality is that whenever there's a rise in crime, there's a decrease in business confidence, investor confidence, consumer spending, and that is not only isolated to our country, but is a worldwide phenomenon. I think that the Prime Minister was right in having an immediate meeting with the Security Council to engage them and to find out what are their strategies. We would like to be optimistic that there would be some new strategies that they can't divulge publicly, of course, to educate the criminal mind as to what they will do. But we certainly hope that the commissioner would have taken serious note as to the number of murders that happened in a very short space of time that is unheralded in the history of our country, and that serious measures are taken. They spoke about increasing the patrols, that the stations are on high alert. We wait to see when that is going to happen. San Fernando has a serious turnout of officers, both from the TTPS and the municipal, and that is, we feel somewhat safe in downtown. But on the outskirts, the suburbs, there continue to be home invasions, the unfortunate murder of the young businesswoman at South Park over the weekend, of course, and ripples of fear in some of the business persons who would visit these premises. And of course, we wait, unfortunately, anxiously so, on how this crime is going to be resolved in a shorter time than as we continue to lose, unfortunately, life after life, and the murder rate continues to surpass last year's figures, and the TTPS has to get this under control.
Yeah. What sort of feedback are you getting from your members? We know at one point in time there was talk about setting up in the TTPS to deal with extortionists, these extortion gangs. Have you been getting any reports from people making calls upon your members to pay what is known as security tax in order for protection and what have you?
Well, I don't want to say fortunately, but thus far our offices haven't heard of reports from Southern business members being taxed. We know it happens. It has been happening in Central and East based on the media reports. Fortunately for us, that hasn't trickled down to us just yet, and we hope that continues. Our business people tend to be more level-minded and, of course, follow the rule of law. But it doesn't mean to say that because we are safer that we should be relaxed. We have to be on high alert, to take the words of the commissioner, to continue to our safety, because these bandits, they don't care about the security cameras, they don't care about the police or anyone seeing their number plates on their vehicles as they commit these deadly crimes on a literally daily basis, and feel they can get away because the detection rate is abysmally low, and they have to find ways to increase how they capture these criminals and bring them to face the full brunt of the law before in the justice system. Otherwise, these youths continue to feel that they can run away. They don't care. They live by the sword, they die by the sword. And is this how we want our society to remember us? Will history be kind to us and say this is how we treated our youths, or this is how we let the youths live their lives unguarded and at the mercy of other criminals? We still ask the questions: where are the guns coming from? Where's the ammunition coming from? And unfortunately, there are unscrupulous business people who are party to that, because when it comes through the ports, it's not a normal civilian that is doing that. And where's the customs? Customs is such a law unto themselves. How come they can't follow the paper trail of who imports these containers or barrels or whatever the vessel these containers, guns and these high-powered rifles come into the country? There must be some way to track them down. Are the scanners operational? We heard that they were fixed. We're not sure. Customs has a part to play in this whole unfortunate, deadly scenario that we face on a daily basis.
Yeah. I mean, you've been operating in the greater San Fernando area for years now.
Yes.
Looking back at how things have developed, what breaks your heart emotionally? What brings about that emotional heartache based on some of the biggest changes that you have seen in your community and, of course, in greater parts of San Fernando?
Growing up in San Fernando, and when we conversed with our peers, we were kids back then. We felt free to walk home from school or walk to school from home. That you cannot dream about doing something like that in the year 2024 or even for the last few years. This problem didn't happen overnight. It's been gradually escalating, unfortunately, over the years. But our generation remembers how safe it was to jump in a taxi or come back home or go riding on your bicycle or skateboarding, and your parents would say, okay, whenever you come back and your neighbor is looking out for you, everyone knows you in any neighborhood, and that's fine. But that is no longer the case because it's so frightful that about if they live to see tomorrow when they pick up these, where they getting the training from.
Yeah.
To pick up a firearm and use it is not an easy thing. You have to get training. It is not an easy thing to use a special high-powered weapon. You have to get training, and it's an expensive tool. It is not a cheap item to buy. I mean, to get ammunition, that is also expensive. Where is all this coming from? And if these youths are unemployed, as they say, where's the money coming from to fund all this? Where's it coming from?
Yeah, you're right about that. Any closing statements, perhaps to the powers that be, exactly, what needs to be done and what can you do to assist, perhaps? I know you're not giving up. I know
No, we can't.
you're always optimistic. I know you're trying, but I know you've reached your wits' end again as far as what's going to be the next move. But if you had to see something happen at least by tomorrow, what would you ask the authorities?
Well, first, I would start off by saying we all have to live here together. We have to work here together, and we have to mind our children's futures here together. And immediately, of course, the Joint Police Army Patrol, something that should be rolled out immediately in the hotspots, wherever. I mean, we should have the full police force out. We should have the use of the army supporting the police. We know they don't have arrest powers, and that's fine, but certainly they could assist the police in their duties. We can have the use of drone technology immediately happening. But other measures will take time. It takes time to implement different strategies to quell this crime wave that we are facing, and we have been facing for some time now. And the only way to get this under control is if we approach this as an entire society and not fragmented. The opposition saying something, that the government is saying something else, and there must be agreement somewhere as to how we focus on this as an entire unit, and that is how we can work towards reducing this unfortunate crime wave that we continue to have to live with. And we remain hopeful that solutions will come. We still believe in the Trinidad and Tobago society as being a loving one, and that there are just a few unfortunate persons that cripple in this process. But we believe that we can conquer that. The police service is large enough.
Yeah.
We know that there was a rollout of additional police officers recently. there have been advertisements to invite persons to join the Defense Force, and we need to keep escalating that physical human force within those units to combat crime.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. Again, best of luck to you and your entire team. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, of course, to have you on as always. And we hope that the next time we speak, it's all on the uprise and things are a lot better. Thank you so much again.
Thanks for the call, and Trinidad and Tobago, be safe out there, and hopefully next time we chat, it'll be more pleasant topics of conversation.
Hopefully so. Have a good one.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.